back, and the game that we've been looking forward to for like 2 or 3 weeks, we got it unscathed. Gary, Chelsea 6-0, Spain Park 6-0. We made it.
We finally made it. We kind of thought it was going to happen, and it's finally here. Like you said, 2 weeks of talk, and the build up to this one has been big. And I know this week in particular, leading up to a kind of not a standalone, but very much a primetime Thursday, all eyes on it kind of game. You're going to have a lot of fun at Jaguar Stadium.
Yeah, so this is the Under the Lights podcast presented by SYNLawn. We've got a great week of high school football to talk about last week, another one this week. So as we were saying, Chelsea and Spain Park, really big game coming up. We can't wait to dive more into that as we go. But Gary, before we dive all the way into all the things we're going to talk about, I want to tell you a little bit about our friends at SYNLawn Alabama. They bring you the podcast all year long. They're your go-to for all things artificial turf. So whether you're looking for an upgrade to your backyard, creating a pet-friendly space, or to enhance your golf game with a custom putting green, our friends at SYNLawn have the solution for you. With top-notch installations for both residential and commercial use and wholesale turf sales, SYNLawn Alabama is the premier choice for artificial turf in the state. Give them a call at 205-590-9549, or you can visit their showroom at 2018 Old Montgomery Highway. So that's SYNLawn. Artificial grass never looked more natural. All right, so like you said, it's Thursday night. A little bit quick turnaround. They're playing a little day earlier. So what you're going to want to do, go follow at Underlights365 on X. We'll have updates all night long on Thursday and then again on Friday from all the other games. So before we start previewing, let's recap. Let's look back at last week. We got back into region play. There were some big games. Let's start with the game that you were at, Gary. Clay Chalkville 21, Mountain Brook 14. The Cougars hang on in a tight game, and it's kind of what we expected. You know, Mountain Brook just gives Clay Chalkville all they can handle, but Clay ends up they escaped with one at the end there.
Yeah, it was a good game in terms of, being close, and when one would score, the other would respond. But by and large, it was a pretty ugly game. Clay Chalkville fumbled 2 or 3 times. They had a chance to put the game away at the end with just over a minute to go. Had a 4th and 1. All you got to do is get the first down. Game's over. And they come out of a timeout, fumble the snap. Hampton King recovers it for Mountain Brook, and then Mountain Brook goes right down the field. He gets really close there, and Clay Chalkville kind of has to. They get a big sack and held on. Mountain Brook got down to like the 8-yard line. Big sack took them back to like the 20, and then an incomplete pass to end the game. So Mountain Brook put quite a scare in Clay Chalkville. And talking to Coach Yeager after the game from Mountain Brook, that was my first time seeing them. And, we've talked all year about, 85 to 90% of the time they're running the ball. And they ran the ball a lot, but they made some big plays in the passing game. Sam Smith had a big night. Caden Hoffbauer was throwing it pretty well. They threw for 145, 150 yards. So I think Mountain Brook came away with a lot of positives, at least offensively, that even though they scored 14 points, they found some ways to make some big plays down the field. And Coach Yeager said it. If you can make some big plays against a team like Clay Chalkville, you can make them against pretty much anybody. So it's a tough region loss. Mountain Brook's kind of in a little bit of a hole they've got to dig out of, but their region schedule has been somewhat front-loaded. So I'll look for them to maybe even win out down the stretch. But if you're Clay Chalkville, you held on. You got a playoff-type test kind of game, and you're certainly going to come away from that excited that you won, but with a ton to work on after a game like that.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's good to win tough games. Win close games. You get into the playoff, you're going to have some tight games. So, I wish we would play better so they weren't tight. But at the same time, when you get into the playoffs and you've been there and got that experience with a tight game, you can fall back on that.
What did you learn about your guys tonight?
Well, we do have some big play capabilities, which, if you can have some big plays against Clay Chalkville, you probably have big play capabilities. So that's one thing. If we have the potential to have big plays, we just got to develop more consistency.
a lot of our youth shows up in the consistency area. So anyway, we just got to get more consistent. We've grown up a lot, though. The thing I'm most proud of is since we started this journey, we have grown a bunch. We've got a lot more growing to do. And that's what makes coaching fun and this game fun. You know.
All right, our Under the Lights game of the week was another one-possession game. Thompson hangs on to beat Hewitt Trustful 15-10. Just another one of those games that the Huskies, they were close, but they couldn't quite get over the hump there. They got down 15-0 in the third quarter, and they tried to claw their way back. And even there was a moment in the fourth quarter where they got down in the red zone, and they could have gone for it on fourth down, but head coach Josh Floyd elects for the field goal because he said the defense had been playing so well. He thought there was enough time to get the ball back, and they eventually did, but just too far to go to make it happen. So this is one of those that it leaves the Huskies in a little bit of it's like a three-way tie for third in Region 3 right now. They obviously would have wanted to win that game, but, Thompson is, they've been the standard in this region for a long time. So a tough, close loss, but one that the Huskies, they'll see some positives from this, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it last week that I think you said just take the under and, 25 total points. So I would assume this game is pretty much what you expected, right?
Yeah, there was not a lot of points. The offense, I looked at the yardage totals after the game, and they weren't astronomical, but it wasn't like neither team gained a yard either. I mean, both teams moved the ball fairly well, but some big plays. I mean, early in the game, Hewitt's defense stopped Thompson at the goal line twice. They forced they had a goal line stand early that ended up being Thompson's first 2 points on a safety a couple plays later, but. I give you big hats off to Hewitt Trustful's defense. I thought they played really well. They did not let Thompson explode outside of a long pass to Anquan Fagans. So Hewitt's defense, a lot to be proud of from that game. But like you said, Hewitt's second loss in the region. Their two losses are to the two unbeaten teams in the region. So they'll bounce back from this. So Gary, let's roll through some of the other games. Let's talk the city of Hoover real quick. Spain Park rolls past Pelham 42-7. And Hoover beats Oak Mountain 28-10. Looks like both teams just kind of took care of business as expected.
Yeah, I mean, that Spain Park game, I wondered about, I knew Spain Park was going to be able to put up a good bit of points on that Pelham defense, but there was that wondering, like, Pelham seems like it has the potential to put up some points. So, Spain Park's defense, credit to them. They forced 3 turnovers. And then on the other side, Corey Barber has another 175-yard game. Brock Bradley throws for over 300. And then I wanted to give a shout out to defensive end. I think Zach Erickson, 3 sacks, 1 tackle for loss. Yeah. So I know we're always trying to get some defensive shout outs, and that is a big game from him. So took care of business. Even more so than I thought with a 42-7 win there. So, and yeah, for Hoover, just chugging along, undefeated in the region. They're on a collision course with you-know-who.
Yeah, that Hoover Thompson game, looming. All right, let's run down the rest of the scores. Briarwood picks up its second straight top 10 win. That's their second win of the year, if you've been following along, and they've done it against 2 top 10 teams. They beat Corner 31-6. Vestavia Hills blows out Prattville 49-14. Homewood gets past Gardendale 23-7. Chelsea beats Chilton County 35-6, and Winona knocks off John Carroll 30-15. Gary, any final thoughts before we put Week 7 to bed?
Out of all those, just Briarwood. Starting 0-5, and it really seems like Luke Reynolds is healthy, as we've talked about. He goes for 170 something yards at corner, and that team really seems to be rounding into shape. And I think their favorite number might be 31 right now. 31 points in the win against Leeds, 31 points at corner, and you start 0-5, and then back-to-back weeks of beating a top 10 team in Class 5A. So I imagine things at Briarwood Christian right now are pretty juiced up, and they're gonna keep trying to, fight back, claw back, get into these playoffs.
No doubt. So, it is exciting to see what Briarwood has been able to do lately. And then, running down the list, Vestavia was really impressive. I think they handed the ball off to roughly 4,000 different players in that game. A lot of guys got touches. And then Homewood, worth watching the quarterback situation there. Will Myers got hurt in that contest. Caleb Carson came in and played really well, led them to the win there. So we will see. And that's all we got on week 7 on our Under the Lights podcast presented by SYNLawn. All right. Time for the interview segment. Let's talk to one of the, you don't normally talk to a coach of a 2-5 team, but I think the situation warrants it. Under the Lights podcast presented by SYNLawn. Our interview segment this week, Briarwood Christian School head coach Matthew Forrester. Coach, it's great to see you. I'm glad that we are speaking on better terms after the way that the season started, but I'm imagining things in that locker room are feeling a lot better after the last couple of weeks for you guys.
Yeah, it's been a whole lot of fun. Our guys have really battled. You've seen growth, you've seen grit, you've seen determination, and then now getting to see that turn up on the scoreboard has been gratifying for them, knowing that their hard work's paying off. So yeah, it's been a fun locker room, but it's also been a fun, challenging season. If you can't enjoy working hard with the people that you're around, going through difficulty, then it makes life not fun. So the fact that I've got a great group of seniors, a good team to battle, even in the difficulty, it's been very rewarding this season.
Was there a moment like, starting 0-5 and then Leeds comes to town? Was there a moment where you noticed something with the team? Did something flip? Was it just getting everybody back healthy? Is it experience? What do you kind of attribute that switch flipping to?
I think part of it is when you are like, we weren't necessarily a young team, but we were an inexperienced team on defense. There was one player, there was nobody that played the same position last year going into this year. So everybody had a big flip. So there's intricacies, there's small things that you have to learn. But again, I talked to the seniors going into the Leeds game, and we talked about how everybody has these days mountaintop moments, and everybody shares their mountaintop moments. You get into Instagram and social media and all that, and all you're seeing are mountaintop moments. Well, most of life is either you've hit that mountaintop and you're going back down and you're going through difficulty, and then you have to climb your way out, or you get to that moment and you're kind of going along and you still have to climb. And what I tried to convey to them is most of life is not lived on the mountaintop. Most of life is in the grind where things aren't going your way and you have to figure out a way how to battle back up. And so, yeah, we're not where we want to be. We haven't been as successful as we planned or as we hoped for. Well, now we've got to understand that it's the people that we're around that make life special. It's the seniors that have chosen to play football. It's the underclassmen that are here. So if we can't embrace and find joy in difficulty, if we can't embrace the tough times and really begin to just enjoy who you're with, you're not going to enjoy life, because life isn't lived for mountaintop moments. Life is supposed to be lived in community. It's supposed to be lived with who you're around. So let's go ahead and work hard. Let's go ahead and be the best we can be and not live for these moments. And let's enjoy being who we are with each other. And let's find joy in the difficulty. And a lot of our society today talks about fun, and I'm as guilty as the next person. My girl gets in after soccer practice when she's young, and the first question out of my mouth is, "Did you have fun today?" And all of a sudden I realize that's a bad question, because fun is not what we're after. We're after, sports is after teaching hard work. It's teaching discipline. It's teaching battle through adversity. It's teaching grit. And that's what I want her to learn from soccer. That's what I want these boys to learn from football. So if I'm asking fun, that seems like, hey, I enjoyed it. It was fun. Well, there's got to be difficulty in sports. Yeah. If there's no difficulty, there's no growth. And so for us, it's really like, is it rewarding? Is a question I ask her. What did you struggle with today? How did you overcome that? And so that's a lot of the same thing I want our guys. Like, yeah, it's not fun, but it was joyful because we're working with each other. It was rewarding because we're seeing improvement and we're getting better. And so, I mean, a lot of that doesn't have anything to do with the scoreboard. It doesn't matter if you're going 10-0 or 0-10. Like, you have to find that, because we're not in either scenario. We're not living for the mountaintop moments. Now we'll embrace them and we'll enjoy them and we'll love every daggone second of a win, but we've got to make sure we do better.
Yeah. So, but even in the Leeds game where you get your first win, y'all go down 14-0. So how did you avoid the, oh boy, here we go again?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things I'm incredibly grateful about, the people I get to be around every day, whether it's the coaches or the players or their parents. I mean, we're going to work hard and we're not going to let the scoreboard dictate. We're not going to let external factors dictate how we play the game. So yeah, we were down 14-0. It's late in the third quarter is the first time we get a lead all season. And that moment, like, it just hit me. Like, we score a touchdown. I see 17 go up on the scoreboard, and I just took a moment to pause, and I just stood by myself. And I'm thinking, man, how special is this? This is the first time we've had a lead in 6 games. We're playing a top 10 team, an undefeated team that's been very successful. Coach Hood's done a great job over there. And the first time we get a lead all season is late in the third quarter against a team like that. Like, the grit and resolve and determination that our guys had is very special. And again, we can only control what we can control. And if you're a defensive player, you can't control what happens on the offensive side of the ball. If you're an offensive player, you can't control what happens on the defensive side of the ball. All we can do is work hard. All we can do is our best. And trying to get that out of kids, I mean, that's, I can't take ultimate credit for it. I mean, this is a culture thing. This is instilled many years ago. It's instilled by their parents. So yeah, I'm just going to press in and have them believe that you can only control your circumstances, and that's to work hard and be your best.
Is 31 your current favorite number?
It's a big one. My kicker likes to kick, and so get him an opportunity to get out there. But yeah, I'll take that one in a heartbeat, because we've been playing really good defense. We've had, our first couple games, and again, like, we knew the schedule wasn't going to be an easy schedule when we started this whole thing. We knew that you're playing 7A school, a 6A school, and the defending state runner-up in 5A. Like, like, you've got the likelihood to go 3-0, but you also have the likelihood to go 0-3. And so defensively, you saw improvements each game. Offensively, you saw improvements, and we're cleaning it up. And so we got better. And yeah, I think that if we get to 31 points, I feel really good about who our team is and what our defense can do. So yeah, I like that number right now.
Now, how big of a boost? I mean, obviously, Luke Reynolds is such an impact player, and he can be so good on both sides of the ball. How what's the approach now that you've got him back, I guess, relatively healthy? And just how big of a lift is that to a team when they get their guy back out there?
Yeah, I mean, you get a player of his caliber, but also a leader of his caliber. Like, a lot of people, oh, wow, he really runs the ball well. And he absolutely does. He'd be a great safety in nickel. He can tackle incredibly well. But what he also provides is that leadership, that voice, that I don't care what's happening around us. Let's go out and fight. And so he's a vocal leader. And so having a vocal leader on the sidelines is not nearly as good as having him on the field playing. And so his leadership, and then his reckless abandon, the way he plays the game, the way he runs the ball, it's a sight to behold. And it's really fun having him out there. Somebody asked me recently, how fast is he? And I said, he's faster than whoever's chasing him. Like, I don't know how fast he is. He's just fast enough. And so it's fun to get him out there, be able to highlight him, but also the energy he brings, the leadership he brings, is pretty doggone special.
Yeah, I think I texted you. The Moody coaches were out at the game y'all had against Leeds, and Coach Gaines over at Moody was telling me it was date night with his wife, and he was like, let's go to this. I forget the name of the restaurant, but he was like, let's go to this place off 280. And I was like, and then he was like, hey, we got done eating, Briarwood's just right here. I was like, you knew what you were doing. And I talked to him and a couple of those coaches, and they were coming to watch, more so to watch Leeds since they're about to play this week. And they came away comparing Luke to a certain running back that played at Auburn by the name of Bo Jackson. And they were like, who is this kid? So they were all praise for you guys and how y'all played that second half.
Yeah, it was a good night, and I mean, it really was. It was, somebody asked me, what'd you say at halftime? I was actually like, hey, we got to go, we're late. That's the only pep talk I gave to the team. And so again, it just goes to show that like our kids will go out, they'll do whatever they need to, and they'll do it as hard as they can. And unfortunate circumstances, we didn't do what we should have done earlier in the season, but we're locked in and looking for, to continue what we've started.
And on that note, yeah, I mean, obviously the playoff picture is a little murky right now. So how do you keep the guys, on this positive momentum swing without worrying too much about things that, not all of it's in your control anymore?
Yeah, I mean, it really is one of those things where it's just like, hey, let's control what we can control. And if we've got 3 games left, they're going to be the best 3 games we've ever played. If we have the ability to play 8 games, they're going to be the best 8 games we've ever played. If we start talking at the beginning of the season that we can't control things that are outside of our control, that we have to focus on what we're doing and be the best Briarwood team we can be, we've got to preach that now when it gets to a playoff picture and all that stuff. So, yeah, if we're going to be 0-5 and figure out a way to battle back, then we need to do that now. So even though you've had 2 great wins, 2 undefeated teams, we're not going to worry about anything that's going on around us. We're just going to focus on enjoying who we're with. So if it's 3 games, I'm going to have the most fun with these seniors that I can possibly have. If it's 8 games, I have the most fun with these seniors that I possibly can have. So we're going to enjoy who we're with. We're going to do it the best of our ability. For us, the world claims you are what you have been. Like you look at all of these past things that have happened to you in your collection of your mistakes or your collection of your good things, and it's like, no, as a Christian, you say, hey, I'm a son of God. I'm a child of God, and what I've done in the past has been paid for by the blood of Jesus, and what I'm going to do in the future is because I'm a servant of him, and I'm going to do my absolute best. And that's what we're trying to accomplish with this team. We're not a collection. Like, we don't look at the record and say that's who we are. We focus on who we're trying to become, and we're trying to become the best team we can be. And so we're not going to look at our past circumstances and let that dictate who we think we are. We're going to focus on where we are in the moment. We're going to focus on who we're with, and we're going to try and be the best team we can be, realizing that we have the opportunity to continue to improve. And so I want our best game that we play to be the last game that we get the opportunity to play. And again, whether that's in 3 games or whether that's in 8 games, we want to be peaking at the right time. And so we're going to work hard for that goal, not for a worry about all the circumstances that are going on around us.
What do you know about John Carroll, and how do you approach that game?
Well, I feel like it's like a 500-year-old rivalry. I mean, Catholics versus Protestants. No, not really. I mean, they've been. Coach Morrow over there has done a great job over the last several years. They had a great season last year. We've actually been out of touch with them because we played them for many years. Like, one of my core memories of coming to Briarwood is I remember going to the Mountain Brook game. That's the first game I ever watched. Briarwood won 14-7. And then the next game I remember going to is at John Carroll, and a monsoon hits, and I'm standing on the sidelines just dripping wet, and I'm in 7th grade. So, like, those are the 2 early games I remember going to. So since '93, been going over to that stadium, or we've been playing them. But I think it's been a 6 or 7 year hiatus, maybe longer than that. Maybe 15 or 16 was the last time. 15, I think.
Looks
17.
like y'all played in 2019.
Yeah, we did. I remember that. Well, I actually do, because that's one part of the whole process of that team really coming on. We played Woodlawn, Winona, and then them, I think, if I remember correctly. So yeah, we did play them in 19. So, but still, it's been 5 years since we played them. So you get out of touch with the team, and that is, there's a lot of things to like about being in Briarwood, but being on the South, Birmingham, you got to go north and south in the playoffs, and so they've been north in 5A. We've been south in 6A, so you really get out of touch. But back to the whole point, like, I think he does a good job. He's got a good offensive system, a good defensive structure. His quarterback throws the ball around really well, and they've got some playmakers. So it's not going to be an easy game. I mean, they're in a similar boat to what we're in if you look at the records. But again, we're not trying to focus on that. We just know John Carroll's the next opponent. So what do they do structurally, scheme-wise, that we need to stop? Who are their playmakers that we need to worry about? And let's just go out and play Briarwood football. We're going to have an amazing practice today, and it's going to be focused on us being the best team we can be.
Sounds great. Well, Coach Forster, we really appreciate you coming on. I will be out there on Friday night. Can't wait to see that game. So keep it rolling. It's been cool to see, especially the last couple of weeks. And yeah, man, we appreciate the time.
Thank you for having me. Thank y'all for what y'all do. I mean, I think this has been an incredibly neat thing that y'all started this year, and I've been paying a lot of attention to it, and I've really enjoyed it. Thank y'all.
Thanks, Coach.
Big thanks to Coach Forster for jumping on with us. Looking forward to seeing if Briarwood can finish strong and get some help, maybe get in the playoffs once again. All right, Gary, top performers from last week. We had 4 really good choices. It wasn't all running backs like it was the previous week, but still some really cool offensive performances to go over and decide on. So Clay Chalkville quarterback Aaron Fry. I did say quarterback, but the man had 3 rushing touchdowns last Friday, 18 carries for 76 yards and the 3 scores, but he also had 191 passing yards for the Cougars in their win. Also Hoover, wide receiver Hunter Purdue, he only had 3 grabs, but 2 of them went for touchdowns, and he totaled 140 yards in the process. So nice job there. Briarwood running back Luke Reynolds shows up again, 11 carries for 177 yards and 3 scores. And then Vestavia Hills running back Noah Boylan, he got 12 carries, racked up 94 yards and a score, and the Rebels win as well. So between those 4, you guys saw it first on the Under the Lights X page, also in our Saturday morning newsletter, and you all voted for, Gary's drum roll, please, Hoover wide receiver Hunter Purdue is the winner this week. I think he got over 50% of the vote. So yeah. I guess what he probably did, he shared the word, and his friends came clutch for him. So big. I mean, it's not. It's always good when you get a name that doesn't always appear on these lists, and give them the opportunity to get some recognition for a big game.
Yeah. I mean, I saw where Hunter shared it, and the Hoover folks shared it. So yeah, more than 50% of the vote. They were impressed with the guy Friday night. I think one of those touchdowns was it like 95 yards or something like that? Like it was a bomb. So he had a big night, and yeah, we've seen Aaron Fry on this list before. We've certainly seen Luke Reynolds on it, and good to see Noah Boylan on this list. Stepping in with William Tonsmeyer out, Carson Purdy's out too, and Vestavia, like you said, 4,000 running backs, and
the list was like this long. It was longer than the screen.
It was crazy. Yeah. So big shout out to him for, a much needed win too for playoff purposes, to go down to Wetumpka and beat Prattville there, and for a young guy to have a big game like that is just super impressive.
Absolutely. So with that being said, we're presented by SYNLawn, and we're also ready to talk about week number 8. It is hard to believe we've already gotten this far. But week 8, I think we know what the game of the week is, Gary. Chelsea, 6-0.
Oh.
Paying a visit to Spain Park, 6-0. I'll be honest, maybe at the start of the year I had not really thought about it. But I don't know, maybe that 3-0 for both of these teams, you started looking like, whoa, okay, maybe. But especially the last 2 weeks, we've been really kind of seeing this coming, and It's been really great to see both of the success both of these teams have had. So before we dive in, we want to talk to a member from both sides. First one, we're going to talk to Chelsea running back Chase Stracer, off to a great start this year. And then we're going to hear from Spain Park head coach Tim Vakakis talking about this game ahead of or after last week's game.
Thing going, but it's gonna be a dogfight next Thursday. Coach Cassidy, he's a good friend of mine, and I've been singing his praises for a long time in the job he does. Even last couple of years when they were in 7A, like Coach Cassidy, he's a good friend, and he does a really good job. So they're gonna be sky high next week, and we're gonna hopefully get out there be like a heavyweight we talk about, and just keep swinging. Whatever happens, just have a chin and keep swinging.
Awesome. All right, we are joined right now on the Under the Lights podcast presented by SYNLawn by Chelsea running back Chase Stracer. Chase, you guys got a big one coming up on Thursday night. Unbeaten Chelsea, unbeaten Spain Park. How excited are you guys for this game?
Oh, man, we're really excited. We're going into this week. We're full focus, and, the hype is there, but at the same time, we're focused and locked in on our task.
How much different is preparation when you got a Thursday game versus a Friday night?
Well, we had to come out and practice on a Sunday so we can get the full amount of days. It's definitely different, because it's kind of off your schedule. But, you just got to do what you got to do.
So how's the team? How's Coach Cassidy? How are you guys approaching everything this week? Is it more emphasis on, hey, this is a really important game for us, or is he trying to keep everything as business as usual?
It's business as usual, but at the same time, I wouldn't say we're focusing on, hey, this is a big game. We're more focusing on, hey, we have to do these things right in order to be successful. So, we're trying not to get too hyped about it, but at the same time, we know what we're up against.
Yeah, for sure. I've got to imagine that it's got to be really cool. I know you guys have been putting in the work the last few years, but it's got to be really cool to really start to see some of the fruits of that. After a couple tough years in 7A, you guys are back in 6A. You're off to a 6-0 start. Just how gratifying has it been to see some of that work pay off into a lot of wins so far?
It's awesome, man. And even the fact that we moved down, some people say, "Oh, well, y'all are just winning because y'all moved down." But man, come on, we're 6-0. The past few years we have definitely not been 6-0, and it's really a big accomplishment for our guys.
So tell me a little bit about your success so far. Obviously, Chelsea's had really good running backs over the years, and you come in right after, people thought, hey, Emerson Russell was really good, and they're going to have a hard time replacing him, but you've been able to kind of really pick up that slack. So what's been the key to your success, being able to run the ball so well so far?
It's definitely play calling and my offensive line just blocking really good. That's really all it is.
Yeah. What's it mean to you guys to see the excitement in the school and in the community now that the football program is having such a good year?
It means a lot to us, because we're putting the work in, and we're seeing that with the community too, and they're starting to follow in and gain momentum for us, and it's just really nice to see.
Thursday night, what's going to be going through your mind when you guys get off the bus at Jaguar Stadium?
Well, I'm going to try to keep my mind pretty clean, other than the plays I might be running or anything like that. Just trying to weed out all the mental errors and anything else that might be distracting us.
What's it going to take for this team to come out on top?
Do our jobs. That's really. We're going to see who the better football team is, but if everybody does their job, it's hard to lose.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Chase. Well, hey, thanks for joining us today. It's really good to catch up, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys out there on Thursday.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
Thanks to both of those guys' help getting us some material for the Under the Lights podcast presented by SYNLawn. So, look, both of these coaches, both teams are going to do the whole, hey, it's just another game, business as usual type of deal. But we don't have to do that, Gary. We can hype it up and say the matchup of 6-0 versus 6-0 is a big deal. So, yeah, Thursday night, not Friday, Thursday night. So if you don't have anything to do on Thursday, Jaguar Stadium's the place to be. Gary, what's your initial take on this game?
My initial take is that all time Chelsea is 0-4 against Spain Park, and all those losses have been double digits. And the most obvious thing I could say is this one is different. Like you said, both 6-0. Being at Spain Park, that'll be, you'd imagine that would be a big advantage for the Jags. They're still a little more experienced, but if Chelsea can run the ball like they have all year, keep that Spain Park offense off the field, I mean, they've certainly got a shot. I mean, both these teams are undefeated. And I wanted to say this. I saw something on Facebook over the weekend where head coach Todd Cassidy for Chelsea has been going to a particular Chinese restaurant in Chelsea. And he said 7th straight week for lucky Sunday lunch. And it looks really good. But I think he's got a little bit of a ritual going right now, eating a Sunday lunch at this Chinese place by himself. People have said it's been working. There seems to be maybe not completely superstitious, but maybe a little stitious. But looking at this plate of food, I want to join him, but I got a feeling right now he's not going to let me because it's been working so far. So, just a little superstition stuff there. But, the game itself, I can't wait to see your report from it and how it turns out, because it's so cool to have a big stage like that where this game won't get lost on a Friday night. I'll be out at Pinson Valley at Mountain Brook, but so many people are going to be paying attention to Chelsea at Spain Park, region on the line, both undefeated. Just so cool for those kids and really those communities to be in a position to have a game like this week.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really cool. The only chance Coach Cassidy is going to let you crash Sunday lunch is if they lose and he needs to find a new ritual. So if his new ritual ends up being lunch with Gary every Sunday, I don't know. That'd be a mix up as well. So, but yeah, no, it's very interesting because it's a 6-0 matchup, but both of these teams are very battle tested. Spain Park they've eked out a close game against Hoover that went back and forth. They had to rally from 14-0 down to beat James Clemens. Like they've been in those battles. They're tested. Yeah. Chelsea, same deal. Their second and third games of the year are like heart-stopping, score in the final minute, big exciting wins, and they've continued to get better from that. And so their last 3 games, they've put the hammer down and they've dominated. So both of these teams are ready for big games. They know what to do. They know what to expect. So the thing that I'm interested in seeing is I don't think the moment's going to be too big for either one. It's going to be who limits the mistakes early, because the last thing you want to do in a matchup like this is get out there and fumble the opening snap and go down 7-0 15 seconds into the game. I'll tell you the story about the reason I say that in a little while. But no, I really want to see if Spain Park's defense is up to the challenge. I want to see if Chelsea's offense is up to the challenge, because I think we know, like we've seen, like Spain Park's offense can score with anybody, but Chelsea's offense has also played really well this year, and Spain Park's defense has allowed some things at times. But like you mentioned last week, like Zach Erickson coming up with some huge plays, and they've kind of you've seen them kind of pick up that level in recent weeks. So I'm excited about this one. It's going to be fun to see if, like, can a guy like Chase Strasner go for he's made 200 yards rushing like a normal thing. Can he do that again? Can, Brock Bradley find all those weapons on the outside? Corey Barber's had a couple of 200-yard receiving games. So which one of those teams is able to keep doing what they've been doing?
Yeah, the guy I really want to see, because, short of that Spain Park defense really shutting down Chase Strasner, like, in a way, you kind of know what you're getting with a guy like Chase Strasner at this point. You know what you're getting with that Spain Park offense. I really want to see if Chelsea's quarterback, Miller Bauman, can continue to be as efficient as he's been in recent weeks, because, he hasn't necessarily had to do a ton, but he's put up numbers and he's been really efficient in doing it. So I think if Spain Park is able to, force Chelsea into some passing situations, I'd love to see if he's going to be able to continue to thread that needle and keep the chains moving down the field.
Yeah, and one other note on this game, I talked about Spain Park's defense coming up with big plays. Well, I mean, I think every game that I look at, Joe Cross is picking off a pass. We've been seeing some amazing photos of Joe Cross intercepting passes. And you look on the Chelsea side of things. I mean, guys like you mentioned Miller Bauman's, he's clearly got a group of guys, CJ Durbin, Aiden Hughes, Turner Simpson, that he obviously trusts and is able to go to those guys. And I saw CJ made a really big time touchdown catch last week. So we'll see. And then on that Chelsea defense, you got guys. I mean, Ethan Prickett's had a great year, and Gabe Penley's been all over the place. So we'll see. It's going to be a fun one. I'm excited to be out there. It's our Under the Lights game of the week, and hopefully it lives up to the hype. Another game on Thursday that we'll be covering, Mountain Brook is hosting Pinson Valley. Gary, I know you'll be out there. This is unique for the Spartans. This is a game that they will win easily, but this is one of 3 Thursday games in a row for the Spartans to finish out the regular season. So we'll get to see them a good bit the last few weeks.
Yeah, it feels like just a good get back game after a really tough game at Clay Chalkball. And like we mentioned earlier, that Region 6 schedule for Mountain Brook seems like it's been somewhat front loaded, and that they'll probably run the ball really well. So looking forward to seeing them against a Pinson Valley team that's obviously had its struggles this year, but a good chance for Mountain Brook to continue to build on the big playmaking that they seem to be on the cusp of, continuing to improve.
Yep. All right. So we've got a handful of Friday games as well. We'll start with John Carroll at Briarwood. We kind of previewed this game already with Matthew Forster. So if you didn't catch the interview with him, rewind a few minutes and you'll find it. So 2-5 versus 2-5, but very, very different when you look at the trajectory of these two teams.
Yeah, I mean, it's really a must win for both teams, but you do feel like Briarwood probably has the edge in this one as long as they're, healthy and continuing to, like you said, to continue to make those strides. This feels like another win for Briarwood, and see if they get any help in that region as we approach the playoffs.
Clay Chalkball at 6-0 hosting Huffman. Gary, you saw the Cougars last week. They'll go to 7-0 this week.
They will go to 7-0 this week.
Yep. And then where you will be on Friday night out at Hewitt-Trussville Stadium as the Huskies at 5-2 host Prattville at 4-2. Hewitt's they're the better team in this matchup, but they're going to need to be able to pick themselves up off the mat after that loss to Thompson last week. For those big games, you put in so much emotional energy and effort into winning those games. And when you get let down, especially with a loss, and we saw like receiver Jacob Serena went out with an injury late last week. So don't know his status, but this is one of those games that a letdown is like the ingredients are there. So the Huskies will have to combat that and see if they can come out on top.
Yeah, I think this game would be a lot more interesting had Prattville beaten Vestavia Hills. Yeah. I mean, all 3 of those teams are 2-2 in the region, but Hewitt has beaten Vestavia Hills. And then if Hewitt beats Prattville, you kind of feel like Hewitt's pretty much a shoo-in for the 3 seed at this point. And then Prattville and Vestavia, Vestavia beat Prattville. So Prattville's got a lot on the line here, as does Hewitt-Trussville. So I'm with you. I think Hewitt-Trussville's the deeper, more complete team. Defense has been playing really well, but Prattville, they know what they're playing for, and they're going to come up here and give the Huskies their best shot. And so I'm looking forward to that, and just seeing the competitive fire amp up a bit as we get into October for 2 teams that have actually never played each other. So it's going to be an interesting night for sure.
Yep. And then you've got Hoover paying a visit to Tuscaloosa County. The Wildcats have really struggled under Miles Holcomb, but he's going to get them going. It's just not this year and probably not this week.
Yeah, take care of the ball, take care of business, come home 5-0 in the region.
All right, Vestavia Hills paying a visit to Oak Mountain. This is another one where the records are a little deceiving as to what the matchup actually looks like. Now, I will say, I don't think, because we've got Vestavia's at 2-4, Oak Mountain's at 3-3 overall. Now, Vestavia, I think, is the better team on paper, but we talked earlier in the show, they've got all these injuries, and it's been a tough go for them this year with the schedule that they've played. and they're going to Herdmont Park to play an Oak Mountain team that has proven that they're no slouch this year.
Yeah, and Vestavia Hills' only 2 wins are on the road. So this is an unfamiliar territory for them to have to go on the road and play well. And they're going to have to. I think this game, Vestavia Hills' defense seems like it's been playing well lately, but Oak Mountain has proved this year that their offense can be really, really good. So I think this could be a tricky, potentially high-scoring game. But if you're Vestavia Hills, you're right there on that 4 line for the region right now, that 3-4 line. And this is one you've got to go take care of business. And, Oak Mountain, if they want any hope or, to play spoiler or something like that a little bit, they're playing for pride and for hope to get into that 4 spot. So kind of like that Hewitt-Prattville game, there's a lot on the line, maybe a little more so for one team versus the other. But I think that could be a fun one out there at Herdmont.
Yeah, for sure. So that's all we've got for the Week 8 games. We're brought to you by our friends at SYNLawn. SYNLawn Alabama is your go-to for all things artificial turf. All right, Gary, goal line stand time. Let's spend a few minutes. Kind of now that we're over halfway through the regular season, it's kind of coming down the stretch. Playoff pictures are becoming a little clearer in some cases, pretty murky in others. But you mentioned the playoff picture in 7A Region 3. So let's start there. I mean, you look at it, Hoover and Thompson are tied atop Region 3 at 4-0. And then there's a 3-way tie for third between Hewitt-Trussville, Prattville, and Vestavia Hills, all at 2-2. And then you have Hillcrest and Oak Mountain at 1-3, T-County at 0-4. So part of this 3-way tie gets resolved this week with Prattville and Vestavia. No, Hewitt and Prattville playing each other. So one of those teams will be 3-2 guaranteed. One of them will be 2-3. And we'll see if Vestavia Hills can stay in the playoff race there with a win against Oak Mountain. So I don't know. We've got the top 2 are going to be battling it out, and then it seems like there's 3 teams battling for the final 2 spots as it stands right now.
Yeah, I mean, just another typical year in 7A Region 3 where, it kind of comes down, looks like it's going to come down to Thompson, Hoover, as to who wins the region. And then after that, it looks like it would probably be Hewitt-Trussville in the 3 seed again. And then, I know we've got newcomer Prattville, newcomer Hillcrest, Tuscaloosa, but Vestavia Hills right there on that, potential 4 spot as well. So just looking forward to these matchups down the stretch and see who can put it all together and get in.
But even saying that, like Oak Mountain, if they were to find a way to win this week, they're still right back in that hunt. I mean, you could easily see a scenario where Hewitt beats Prattville, and if Oak Mountain beats Vestavia, then you've got a bunch of 2 and 3 teams. And Oak Mountain still they have a Hillcrest team left on their schedule that you would consider that to be a very winnable game for them. So you never know, man.
Yeah, well, because looking at this now for Oak Mountain, if they're able to get by Vestavia Hills and get to 2 and 3, then they've got to go to Hewitt-Trussville. Then that becomes a pretty important game for both teams. And then, like you said, Hillcrest Tuscaloosa being a winnable game at home. So there's a lot of scenarios that we will be made aware of over these next 3 weeks, and that we'll be trying to dissect and, all of that. So it's the confusing time of year, and it's the really, really fun time of year.
I'm gonna let some of y'all in on a secret. Even if they tell you they don't, these coaches know every single scenario and how it would affect them should it play out. So
we have seen the spreadsheets.
Yeah, they know exactly what needs to happen in every scenario. So we'll see. I mean, it's going to be fun down the stretch, and like Hoover and Thompson play each other next week for the game that will probably decide the region title. So that'll be a lot of fun. All right, Gary, let's talk a few of the 6A regions that have some under the lights teams, and then we'll start with Region 3. We've talked a lot about the Chelsea-Spain Park matchup this week. They're both 3-0 in the region. So the winner of this game this week really starts to feel good about their chances at the region title. Helena's sitting at 2-1, Benjamin Russell 2-2. Then you've got Calera and Pelham each with 1 win, Chilton County at 0-4. So I feel pretty comfortable saying Chelsea and Spain Park are going to be playoff teams. It's just a matter of who wins this game to kind of really put their toes in. I mean, they're kind of putting their flag in the ground like, hey, this is our region. Obviously with a few games left, but the winner of this one is sitting real pretty.
Yeah, this one seems a little a little less murky than Region 3 and Class 7A. So yeah, this feels like it could end up, we won't know it for sure this week, but in the next couple weeks, this feels like it might be the de facto region title game, as it were. So that'll be cool that, both the teams that we cover out of 6A Region 3 look playoff bound. So
Yeah.
that's always exciting.
Yeah, and I think coming down the stretch, I think Chelsea's schedule is a little tougher, but we'll see. Now, if both teams, I mean, you've got to be thinking, hey, we're gonna make the playoffs. We want one of those top 2 seeds to get home field advantage in the first round. So, all right, Region 5 has got Homewood in it, and Homewood is leading the region right now at 4-0. Parker's at 3-0, Miners 2-1, Gardendale's 2-2, and then you got Mortimer, Jordan, Jackson, and Woodlawn all at the bottom 3 there. So basically, what we're looking at is Homewood and Parker are going to play for the region title here soon, huh?
Yeah, October 18th. I think Parker comes to Homewood, so that'll be a really big night there, and you get home field advantage at Waldrop Stadium. And yeah, so Homewood's taking that open week this week, get healthy, start preparing for a really, really good, really, really tough Parker team, and then you travel to Minor the next week, and to kind of close out region play. And depending on how it goes against Parker, that could become a pretty important game. Minor's 4-2, 2-1 in the region right now. So tough stretch for Homewood, but a lot on the horizon for them if they can win both of those or even split.
Class 6A Region 6, Oxford's 4-0, Clay Chalkville's 3-0. Then you've got Shades Valley 2-2, Mountain Brook 1-2, Pinson Valley 1-2, Pell City 1-3, Huffman 0-3. Oxford and Clay, another one next Friday that's going to be for the region title. Is that next Friday?
Yeah, I think that is.
Goodness.
I throwing my hat in the ring just in case we want to make that trip. But yeah, that'll be just an incredibly big game. And then, you're not used to seeing. I mean, credit to Reuben Nelson and Shades Valley being where they are, at 2-2 in the region right now. They look like the 3rd or 4th team in this region to get into the playoffs. And it's weird to see Mountain Brook 1-2, but Mountain Brook down the stretch, we've talked about, I'll be there this Thursday night with them against Pinson Valley, and then they're at Huffman. So you feel good that they're going to get to 3-2 in the region. And then they finish up at Shades Valley for their last region game, which right now could potentially be for that three spot, 4 spot. I mean, either way, you're playing it. You're playing on the road in the first round, but a favorable schedule down the stretch for Mountain Brook to get to where they want to go.
So you're telling me we've got 3 potential games of the week next week: Hoover Thompson, Homewood Parker, Clay Chalkville, Oxford.
Yeah, so we need to phone you, and then I'll go to the other one.
Can we make a motion? Somebody plays on Wednesday, somebody plays on Thursday, somebody plays on Friday.
Yeah, we'll just treat it like the Super 7. And
well, Homewood's off this week, so Coach Bergeson, make it happen. Let's go Wednesday night.
Yeah, so well, how about this? Because the Super 7, the 7A game is always on Wednesday, let's move Hoover Thompson to Wednesday. We'll have Homewood Parker on Thursday, since they had the week off, and then Clay at Oxford on Friday.
Perfect. I love it.
We're solving the world's problems.
And then finally, Class 5A Region 5. We're not going to go all into these scenarios. We talked about it a little bit with Coach Forrester. It's too much to break down. But basically, you've got Carver at 3-0, and then Ramsey, Corner, and Winona all have 1 loss. Briarwood, John Carroll, and Hayden have 3 losses in the region. Briarwood's playoff hopes not completely dead. Them and John Carroll, whoever wins that game this week is still alive. Whoever loses is out. And whoever wins they're okay as long as they win out, and they need a little bit of help. And it seems like it's going to be an uphill climb, but we've seen crazier things.
Yeah, I mean, trying to talk through some of those scenarios earlier really put my head in a pretzel. So we're not even going to try. But yeah, at this point, I'll give I'll give the coach speak. You just win, control what you can control, and then anything past that, you just got to wait and see, because that region and the scenarios that are there is, like you said, I can't imagine that spreadsheet, and I feel for whoever at Briarwood or at John Carroll or any of these schools in 5A Region 5 is trying to figure out where they're going to be. Are we going to be the 1 seed, 2, 3, 4? You know, like, I can't imagine how difficult that has been to go through. So a lot, just a lot in that region right now.
Yep. So that's kind of what we got. We'll kind of check in on the playoffs as we go throughout the next few weeks. We've got 3 weeks left of region play, including this week. Also excited to have 2 pretty big nights of high school football this week with the big games on Thursday as well. So you need to be following us. If you're a Facebook person, go find Under the Lights on Facebook. If you love Instagram, Under the Lights 365 on Instagram. If you like live updates on X during the games, at Under Lights 365. You can follow me and Gary on X as well. We're all over the place. We've got plenty of content coming throughout the week, on game days, on game nights. You need to sign up for the Saturday morning newsletter, which will be linked in the description of this video. So yeah, plenty of ways to follow all of the local high school football teams, and we'll be keeping track of everything going on. Thanks for watching this episode of Under the Lights presented by SYNLawn. Big thanks to them for bringing us the podcast all season long. And Gary, it's going to be a fun week. It's going to be a good week. It's going to be a dry week, which is great. So with all that being said, enjoy, and thanks for watching. Go subscribe, like, thumbs up, do all those things. They really help us out. So we appreciate you guys, and we'll be back next week.